In the mid-70s, my mother and her older brother are 13 and 15 respectively, and my grandparents, their parents, are going to Windsor, Ontario, because there's a funeral, something like that. They're going to be gone for the weekend, and my uncle is in charge of babysitting duty, so obviously my uncle is going to do something to fuck with my mom. So my mom is reading, and my uncle is watching TV, just quietly, just hanging out. It's been about an hour since my grandparents left in the car for Windsor, and my uncle gets up silently and goes to the bathroom, and Mom doesn't think anything of it, but he's gone for 5-10 minutes, 10 minutes now. She's like, what is going on? Okay, I don't know what he's doing in there. Another 10 minutes go by, and she's like, this is weird. So she gets up and she knocks on the door, like, is everything okay? He's like, yeah, I'm fine, I just need a minute. She's like, okay, I don't want to know what you're doing in there, but all right, take your time, I guess. So she goes back to her book, and he's in there for another 20 minutes. She's like, this is odd. So she gets up and she knocks on the door and she's like, Joe, what are you doing in there? Get out. And he said, I don't want to scare you. I have something I need to tell you, and I need another 5 minutes. That's all I need, 5 minutes. And she says, okay. She's a little taken aback by now. He's not normally this serious. So she just kind of patiently waits outside the door, and he gets out and he opens the door, and he opens it very slowly and dramatically, and he looks at her and he says, I have something I need to tell you. And she says, what is it? He's like, it's really hard for me to say. She said, what? You're scaring me. What is it? And he says, I've been meaning to tell you this, but I'm the ghost of Elvis Presley. She says, what? And he says, it's been inside me for so long. I needed to tell you. And she said, you're full of shit. Tell me go prove it to me. Tell me 2 things that Elvis would know that no one else would know. Prove it to me. And I should interject at this point to mention that my mother, to this day, has no idea what is happening in the world of pop culture. She's the only person in the world who still watches Grey's Anatomy. There's just her. It's only my mother. So to this day, she has no idea. And back then, she had no idea. She was kind of a bookworm. She mostly just read. She didn't really keep up with pop culture stuff. My uncle was a huge Elvis fan, obsessed, and to this day is still a huge Elvis fan. For his 50th wedding anniversary, him and his wife went to Graceland, like obsessed. So he says, all right, if I have to prove it to you. And also a southern twang is coming into his voice very gently at this point, which I cannot do because I'm bad at accents. So imagine it in your head, if you will. So he said, if I have to prove it to you, I will. When I was born, I had a twin brother and he died when he was born. And when I was 11, I got my first guitar, but secretly inside, and no one knows this, I wanted a bike. So both of these things were in all of the Elvis fan magazines at the time, if my mother had bothered to read them. And if this story had happened right now, she could Wikipedia it on her phone, but it's a good thing this didn't. So she's like, what? Well, how did you know that? And he said, I told you, he lives inside me now. I'm the ghost of Elvis Presley. And she said, but how did this happen? And he said, well, when Elvis died, his soul didn't just go to heaven, you see. He wanted it to live on. So he picked a young boy who loved him so much and whose love for Elvis was pure. And he wanted to live forever inside him, so he picked me. And she's like tearing up at this point. What do you mean he picked you? He said, he picked me. And that's not all. There's more to this story I need to tell you. And she says, what is it? And he says, well, Elvis, he likes to party and have a good time. And well, I'm only 15 years old, and he can't go drinking and boozing and partying with ladies. And me, I'm only in grade 10. My mom's like, well, what's gonna happen? And he said, well, he has to leave me, and when he leaves me, I'll die. And my mother is sobbing. It's just crying, just sobbing, going, but I don't want you to leave, Joe. And he says, I I can't stay in this body anymore, but you know, I wanted to tell you this because you're a great girl and you got your whole life ahead of you. And you're gonna grow up real pretty one day, I promise. And she says, but I don't want you to leave, Joe. She says, it's Elvis now. It's been Elvis for a long time. So my grandparents get back 2 days from now, and the scene that they see before them is my mother has locked herself in her bedroom and is crying while my uncle sits listening to his Elvis records, staring at them wistfully, just humming along to Heartbreak Hotel. And my grandparents are like, what is going on? Why are you crying? What is happening? My mother runs up to her mother and says, Joe was in Elvis. She's like, take it down. What happened? My mother said, Joe says he's the ghost of Elvis. So my grandmother closes the door and sits down and holds my mom's hand, and my patient, wonderful grandmother tells my poor, dense, pop culturally dense mother something that at this point had not occurred to her, but may have occurred to some of you. My grandmother says, honey, Elvis isn't dead. Thanks, everybody.
DiGirolamo.